over the NBA slate for this evening. I presume that Bobby just did baseball. I just got back, so I figured I would fire up the NBA. I'll give you a couple of my thoughts on the baseball slate as well. Let me just text Bobby and let him know that I did fire this up. Refired it up for NBA. Okay, so if he wants to join, he can. Sorry for the late notice as far as this is concerned. So with that said, what I'll do is I'll share my projections for this particular one, and then we'll go through the whole process. And the other thing I want to think about is whether I want to play Showdown or not. Probably not, right? Bobby was telling me that there's a really good Showdown slates tonight. We'll have to take a look at that. Let's take a look at it right now. Hold on a minute. Let me just see what that. Nah, I'm not going to play Showdown. It's tough, and the two gamer is plenty variant enough. Three gamer. Sorry. So I guess if I'm really dead after the first game or so, I guess it probably should, right? Nah, I'm not going to play the Showdown. I'm not doing it. 100,000 for first, though. I mean, 100,000 for first, we probably have to play it, don't we? Yeah, I guess we do. So we'll see this from the beginning to the end. So the first thing I'll do is share my screen in a minute. Let me just first.
I'm going to let you cook here, Sheets. I just went through my stuff, so I'm curious. And then we'll see what we come up with. If it's the same or different.
Yeah. So wait. So I'm also firing up this Showdown slate because I forgot what you told me. It's like so much for freaking first. I kind of have to play, right?
Yeah, I think that's the rule.
Yeah, those are the rules. All right. Put 50 in that, and I may as well play that 222. And yeah, so that's good. Okay, so I was just about to run my stuff. I just uploaded projections, like it really means anything, I guess. Are you doing anything with just pushing back towards a later game or not really?
For basketball, no, because it's just the one game you can decide on. But I do like some, a number of things in that game, but I'm more, the logical part of me is just on the, okay, let's just play the Indiana Milwaukee game. The contrarian part of me and what my builds are leading to are Memphis and OKC game stacks and hope it stays close. And then the other logical part that I think is also maybe a little biased, but I think Luka, if you can find a way to get Luka and Giannis in, I think that you could get 150 to 175 between those two. I really do tonight.
So you're thinking that Luka really, this is his, he's got to take this over.
I think he did take it. I mean, he took it over in the last game, and it still just didn't matter because the Minnesota never missed, But I think they know in a must-win. I would hope they would know that you need.
Is LeBron willing to do that?
Yeah, I mean, Luka scored 37 real points in the last game. It was nothing.
And they lost though.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that's not because.
I'm just I don't know. LeBron and the Lakers better than I do.
Yeah, I don't think that's the. I'm not going to take anything from it personally. But yeah, I mean, Luka. I would be surprised. The one thing that's annoying is that, like, I would actually like, and people were. This is what I hope LeBron doesn't go with. His usage was lower because they were trying to get the ball out of his hands. I would like to see him back in that 35 to 40% usage rate tonight, and I think that the Lakers are smart enough and Redick's smart enough to know that's the right way to play this. So that's what I'm banking on.
What limitations, if you think any, exist for Lillard tonight?
I don't know what the hell to expect from him, to be honest with you. I'm not probably going to end up with any of them.
Oh, no? Okay.
Are we sure he's playing? Because the announcement last week, the announcement the other day was he won't play till game 3. Or he wouldn't play again until game 3.
I saw something today saying that he was available, but they weren't.
Yeah, it's saying he's available now, and I want to see a starting lineup before I commit to that one. I think.
I mean, but I will say this: that I think if he plays, I think that he's playing. You know what I mean? That's what I was going to say.
I mean, he was supposed to be on like death's door based on what we heard early in the year, and he'd never play basketball again. So I don't know what to expect from him. But you're right. Like if they're going to say he's medically cleared, like. But I mean, the injury was supposed to be a career ender, so I really don't know what to do. That's a tough one for me. But I did not get so much of it in any of my builds.
Yeah, me neither. I might have him like a 33-point projection. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah, I just think there's better play. I mean, him versus Ja, I feel much more comfortable with Ja.
Oh yeah.
But if he gets no ownership, maybe I do end up firing him into something. And the other one, I was getting all of the Miles Turner, which I don't think you need to do all of it. Like, it was like 90%, and I just didn't feel like that's. I do love him in this matchup. I play him all the time when they play because of the drop coverage, and then he ends up, he can stay out there and hit his threes. But yeah, it's tough to find the sneaky plays. I speculated on I have a bunch of speculation ones for Showdown.
We'll talk about that in a second. So that sort of it begins to answer the question I was just about to ask is with a obviously a single game slate, you could do all kinds of funny shit, even 2-game slate. But is there anything like weird you need to do on 3? Probably not. Like you just kind of play straight.
Yeah, I think you play it fairly straight. I don't think you need to do all of that much. Like that 3-3 is a big enough slate, you know what I mean? And we saw guys in the best point per dollar plays, I think, was like Marvin Bagley the other game because no one, and of course no one played him because he didn't expect him to lose by 70 or whatever it was. But if they keep this game reasonably close, the guy's not going to play at all probably. But it's just hard to find those low owned pieces.
I will tell you this: that in my initial builds, my top guy was not Turner as far as owner; it was Siakam.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like coming from that game, it kind of makes some sense.
I mean, it's just so logical. Like I said earlier, it's the closest spread and the and the highest total.
Yeah.
But I will say, like, and by the way, you want a little revenge? That's not really revenge because they have bigger things to worry about. How about the report that came out today that Tyrese Halliburton was voted the most overrated player by the NBA?
Yeah, so there's a theory on this, though. So they took 90 players' votes, and they know Milwaukee voted, and Lillard hates Tyrese Halliburton.
So
everybody thinks that Lillard actually had the entire Milwaukee team vote. Or not everybody thinks. One podcast speculated on it, and all 3 of the guys who are NBA voters all agree.
Yeah, but that's pretty bad to get bulletin board material like that.
It's a little strange, right?
Yeah.
And you got the playoff game, so I mean you got the game, so but Halliburton's already looks like a pretty good play,
Yeah.
So if he didn't, it would be a cool thing to do something with, but I don't know if there's too much that's actionable. All right.
So let's see. In classic slate, let me see. Whoa, this is a little weird. Wait, what is this? Classic. Oh, I have the Showdown listed too. Sorry. Yeah, so in classic, Siakam and Halliburton. Boy, this is an interesting guy to have 70% of. DiVincenzo?
Yeah, it's because of the pricing.
Yeah.
And he's going to play the minutes. So that's where that's coming from.
And if that's not bad enough, how about 67% Caruso?
That's the one I can't quite get my hands around. I don't know what.
Just hoping the 11 points is enough, like whatever.
Yeah, but there's like so many guys we could choose from. Why do we have to choose him?
Yeah.
Like why is it Caruso, not Cason Wallace?
You know what? That's who I was getting a little bit before too.
Or Isaiah Joe.
Oh yeah.
I mean or Aaron Wiggins. I mean, who's a little more expensive, but they have like just so many guys. Like, I mean, Caruso's like their 9th man. Like that's crazy, This guy would play bulk minutes for every single other team in the NBA except for them.
I mean, and you look at I guess it's because he had that 40 just a couple of games ago. It's like skewing it. I don't know.
But the 40 is totally misleading because that was a completely meaningless game.
That's true too.
It's really strange to me. So I did lower his projection a little bit. He is one of the guys, and I did raise Cason Wallace's projection. But like you're talking about like 2 points, and 1 point.
What's Wallace's? Does he play?
Yeah, he plays more than Caruso. Right? He plays more than Caruso does. They just think for the playoffs they're going to play Caruso more. But like Cason, I mean, he can be out there and do nothing offensive, statistically anyway. But to me, I see it as a very similar play, and it's all going Caruso's way. And also, if the game does turn into another blowout, Cason Wallace is going to get more minutes than Caruso is in that situation.
I'll put you another way. I mean, like, they're both 3,500-ish, and so yeah, I guess if you give one of them like a 4 points more in projection, that's what you're going to get. But like you said, I see 4% ownership on Cason Wallace.
I know.
I'm going to have to do some of that. I'm just going to have to.
It's just live with the results, like, because it's not, the plays are not that different, and I'm not, this is what I'm saying, where I'm not saying that projections aren't right. I'm just saying that there's a lot of speculation, and in playoff series you see it drastically all the time. Teams will totally change up what they do, and if they blow them out again, they're not going to leave Caruso out there. Caruso played 9 minutes in the last game, and Wallace only played 12, but that's because it was such a blowout. But if it's a normal blowout, I think Wallace gets more minutes. And I think if it's a regular game, Wallace gets probably similar minutes. Maybe he loses 1 or 2 extra to Caruso. At least that's what I think.
Yeah, I think I think that's going to be my change.
Yeah,
I'm going to give myself more Wallace and less Caruso, and the rest I'll keep the same. But I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
I mean, like I said, this the other day. I mean, you get that one guy in a 2 or 3 game slate that goes off at low ownership. Like a couple of days ago, it was Cole Anthony, and the other day it was Ty Jerome.
Right?
But that's all you need.
Right.
Every winning lineup pretty much had those 2 guys.
Right. That's right. you get the right pieces and around them, and you're good. All right, and then
so that's a good change. And how about FanDuel?
FanDuel, I'm only playing the lottery, so I'm getting all kinds of weird, wonky.
Who are we getting?
Well, just I'm getting to those guys, because you don't need the value quite as much on FanDuel, but I'm trying to get Luka and Giannis. I bumped I think both their projections are too low. With Lillard there, maybe I could talk myself out of the Giannis thing. I don't know.
What about the other? Well, how about going the other way? How about playing LeBron? Now you like the Luka. You like the Luka idea. Yeah.
I'm okay with the LeBron thing. I did say before, I thought one of those two has a huge game. I'm okay with LeBron, but it's not like his price. Like, they're $1,500 different on DraftKings, for example, and I just think, I just think that that's too close in price. And Luka, just seeing the 10.8 is hard not to click that button. Like,
right?
Yeah, it's just too cheap.
What about you mentioned Caruso? What kind of now you could play the OKC Memphis game like I think you want to play it, where you hope it stays close and you get your jaw and all that stuff. But what if it's another blowout? Like who are the blowout guys you think?
Bagley.
Yeah.
It's interesting though, because I feel like the big speculative ones would be like Kennard. Everyone's playing the Concher because he played 25 minutes and he's cheap, but it could just as easily be Kennard or Vince Williams that you see tonight instead coming out.
Right. Let me see. What about on FanDuel? My 2 highest owned guys. Oh my goodness! First one is Rui. Hachimura, and then Rudy Gobert.
So I love the Gobert as a contrarian because he's going to be low owned.
Okay.
But I also think if things are going, there's a path for him definitely being played off the court. And by his own guys. I mean, you saw Naz Reid the other night. It was like I was surprised to see Rudy Gobert come back in after that.
Naz Reid had a big game?
Yeah, I don't know what he ended up with, but in the second quarter, at one point, he had scored like 20 points in the quarter, and I don't think he'd missed a shot. And it was like in a 4-minute period. Like he had like 20 real life points. All right.
Okay, so here's a here. Let me. I want to build a showdown slate because here's a little trick you could use. It's a trick, but you have to be very, very careful with it. Okay. So if you want to use like my projections or Goldie's or whoever, and you want to use it for showdown, okay, you can do that. Okay, but you got to be careful. So I'll show you what we have to do. First, let's add the. And I don't like this new interface, by the way. So showdown.
I don't either, by the way.
Yeah. So which game is it? So it's Minnesota Lakers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't like having to pick it like that. So first, let me upload my entries. I'm curious to hear who some of your hoodoos are here. Let's just upload this first. Build lineups. Okay, so if you don't want to use the Saberson ones, you do want to use my projections. So you could use the same projections that you get from the regular whatever download, but there's a couple of things you need to do. So this whatever your file is, whatever. So first of all, you'll see we could not match these 44 players. You want to know why? Because 2/3 of the players in my projection file are not in this game, right? So that's fine. So we ignore all. And here's the one thing you want to do is I usually put exclude unlisted players because when I put my projections up, unless it's like a certain number, like they get excluded, and I like to hit exclude unlisted players because I don't need like these 3-point projections in my usual builds. But for showdown, I want to kind of let everybody into the ball game a little bit. And accept the hoodoo. So I would unclick exclude unlisted players. And the other thing that you have to do is when you do this is one thing that you'll notice is that you want to, this is actually good. It did it already. No, it didn't quite yet. So what you want to do is you want to reset the ownership here to use SaberSims because what it did was it took my ownership projections from the classic slate and put it into here, which obviously you don't want. So unless you want to do your own ownership projections, I'm not going to do my own ownership projections for showdown. So make sure that if you can use my projections for the game or whatever, but then you want to use the SaberSim ones as far as ownership goes. And likewise over here, this looks good. So now we can build. I'm not going to leave any money on the table on purpose, even though it's showdown. But as I build this, who do you think? Who are guys that you're willing to play in showdown that you wouldn't in classic?
Definitely, I want to speculate on Vanderbilt getting more minutes tonight. He's a big one for me, and it's going to be one of he or Hayes. I think is going to get more minutes, but I think Vanderbilt makes sense. And as a Laker fan, I kind of would like to see him out there a little bit more. Gabe Vincent is another one. What is Vanderbilt's price in this showdown?
The 3,200.
It's not ideal.
Not same as Vincent, 3K.
I was hoping he'd be like 1,200.
You know what you could play, by the way? I mean, you could play and this is definitely live. You could play like a Laker blowout narrative in this game.
Yeah.
And then you could play anybody. You could play freaking 2K Dalton Connect at 0% projection.
It's going to be rough with Minnesota. They're not an easy team to blow out. But
no, I know that. But if they do, you know what I mean? This is showdown, right? 100,000 for first against 4 million people, right?
Take the gamble. Absolutely. No, that makes sense.
And then if Dalton Connect comes in the game, even for like the fourth quarter at 2K, he's not coming in to pass.
And by the way, they may bring him in earlier because there were some spacing issues and stuff like that in the first game. So maybe that's one way they can get around it. And It's possible.
I mean, Sabersim has him projected for 0 fantasy points, you know?
Yeah.
And I have it like 0.6. So
Yeah.
you're going to get him at 1%, or something like that. That's part of, I mean, listen, it's possible.
One thing I'll tell you is I am not opposed to playing like, yeah, that's true. And by the way, I think there's something to this Vanderbilt idea.
Okay.
It's not going to be as good as my call of the night last night with Porter, but first of all,
what happened with Porter last night?
And nobody played him because the game before they played Westbrook over him down the stretch and before, you know, the closing lineup and everything. But Porter played great and put up, you know, he's 6.5x or 7x this price at a pretty decent price. And nobody even played him in showdown sheets. Even in showdown, he was like 10%.
This is what happens. This is what happens when you run the Sims, the Saber Sim. You know what you get? 58% of the aforementioned Dalton Connect.
Let's go.
Because they're giving you literally 0% ownership. So
right.
Probably don't want to do that. So what I can just go ahead and do for now is not make this about the Sims. We could just use the regular Saber score, and then you watch, I'll have like 0 of him. Actually, maybe not. No, see, bye. Nice to know you. nice to see you, Dalton. Nice. Nice to meet you for a little while. But I'm gonna run these again as we get closer, and I might actually just for funsies throw in like a 10 ball of him. You know?
Yeah.
Just like as a matter of just in case. It's very possible I get tilted with other stuff and I forget, you know, change this stuff. Let me just give myself 10% of Dalton Connect. And what do you say, Vanderbilt? We like?
I think it's like they're giving you some of them.
I
just think there's upside for him that's not being accounted for. Like you can even see that his projection is very different than your. Like you got him. Oh no, you don't. You got him higher. Yeah, you got him 2 points higher almost. That's a big difference.
Yeah, so I'm getting 13% Vanderbilt. I can probably get a little more than that, right?
Yeah.
What about why am I getting 25% of Jordan Goodwin at 1K? Is he going to get in the game?
He could.
Yeah, I love it. This is Showdown for NBA. He could. Let's go.
He definitely could.
It's possible. He has a uniform with a number on it, right?
He does.
Love it, and he's officially active, right?
He's and by the way, if they just have too many guard, like they need some big guys.
Spacing issues. No.
They had some, but like he's not. How does he? You'd rather have Luka, LeBron, Reeves,
sure?
More Vincent, Finney Smith.
You think so?
Yeah, I just think like he's. But you know, one thing about him that I do like is if he does get in, he can do things. He's not going to be like a dud out there.
I mean, like these bad boys with the Nickeil Alexander-Walker and the captain. Like those are good, right?
I'm going to captain. I honestly think in my big one, I might captain Vanderbilt.
Something like that. Yeah. Why?
I've seen him have these monster games before against Minnesota, and he played for Minnesota. He knows all these guys, and everybody's getting killed on the offensive boards for the Lakers. Vanderbilt seems like a logical guy to play to me. I think that you might see more Vanderbilt tonight. Now, whether he puts up numbers, I can't promise you anything, but he certainly.
I need a full promise of numbers from Jared Vanderbilt.
No, the only thing I'll promise is that I think Lucas scores 40 plus.
Well, here we go. So this could be one of those NFL hoodoo ones where Vanderbilt gets 7 in the captain, but it allows you to get Luka, Anthony Edwards, LeBron, you know, or whatever.
Right. That's why I was really hoping he'd be like 1K.
Right.
Because I thought then I was like, now I've got all the reason in the world to do it. Yeah. The old Josh Gordon at 200.
Right.
Play a snap.
Right.
You win $1 million.
Did he win $1 million for somebody?
Yeah, and they maxed out the salary exactly. Yes, somebody wanted $1 million exactly
with a 0.
But he was the captain.
Yeah.
How crazy is that? Like, it was like literally means all the production was only 5 guys and nobody else scored.
And it was the only way that you could get those 5 guys was playing his salary in the cap. Right.
Oh my God!
This is Connect 4. This is it. We're in.
I don't hate it, by the way, because he can.
But I mean, in reality, if you really want to win, you play Connect with other guys that are probably going to be in blowouts, I guess.
Maybe, but I think he's got upside in regular. Like I think he has some minutes. It's very possible he doesn't play any minutes tonight. I want to make that really clear.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Totally.
So you know what? Hashtag Josh Gordon. There it is.
But you could put a pretty cool small ball lineup together with just throwing him in instead of Jackson Hayes, and then you've got shooters everywhere, and maybe that's a way you can fix a little bit of what I thought was pretty bad spacing issues.
Jordan Goodwin was not part of the spacing here with the 6 minutes and the 1 fantasy point in the last game.
No. Dalton Connect per minute though was excellent. He played
per minute. I like it.
3 minutes, 9 fantasy points. That's what we want to see. The 3 points per minute.
You know who's going to probably get a good? I would say I won't say extra minutes, but I think Connolly really only got 12. That game kind of ended. I think they would probably, for some reason, want Connolly in near the end, just because of his experience and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I think they like. I think it's going to be more Nikhil Alexander-Walker throughout the playoffs for them.
You think so? Yeah.
Well, it's going to be a combination, and they've got DiVincenzo too, so they've got a lot of like. The speculation was that he was not going to get that much run in the playoffs, but he's everybody's favorite person in the world because he's like the nicest human being.
Oh, Conley?
Yeah. He has a cool stat, a funny thing. He had his first technical foul this year in the history of the NBA. It was the longest of anybody in the history of the NBA.
Really?
Yeah, and he never had a technical. He's also won Man of the Year like 7 times. So he gives back everything. Is great. But his technical foul was he was yelling at himself, and the ref thought he was yelling at him. He was like getting mad at himself for missing his third open 3 in a row, and he's just like yelling at himself like this, and the ref just overheard it and turned around and called him T on him.
There was one. Remember the amazing stat that Will Chamberlain never fouled out of a game.
Yeah, he also never played defense. To be honest,
he didn't have to. I mean,
I know. Will Chamberlain though is the one I've been getting into things with where. My stake, my argument is always that he's the most overrated player in the history of basketball. How he didn't win more is completely impossible. I don't know. That's just. I guess I'm more of a Russell person. Which I ran
into him a bunch of times when I lived in California at the racetrack.
Oh really?
He was there all. Yeah, Will Chamberlain was there all the time.
That's funny. I used to see him at Laker games, but I never. I would believe he's the guy who would be there all the time. Actually.
Yeah. All right, so I'm going to have to make some kind of decision with this freaking showdown slate. Well, I'm going to play it, but I have to figure out what I want to do. If I really want to do for this Dalton Connect thing, the Jordan Goodwin, I'm probably not going to play Jordan Goodwin. But Connect, I might.
I think you could play Goodwin in the showdown.
You think so? He's like 2 minutes in the last. I mean, like 2 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean,
does he ever play
with this particular group? Not very much.
No. But
he played a lot. I mean, he started games that mattered for them.
Spacing issues, though. We got to go with the spacing issues.
But he doesn't have that. He's not a great shooter. That's the problem.
That's what I'm saying. We got to stick with the spacing issues build. So we're going to go with the Dalton Connect. And you know how they roll, man. He makes one, he's not coming out. No,
that's true. It could easily happen. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But I think the problem is they're going to focus more on the defense, which is, again, the Vanderbilt thing is don't overlook that. This is something I'm considering in my big build for the regular slate.
All right, who you probably mentioned this, but
MJ, all mine are posted in the Discord, so I'm not going to go through.
Oh, the exposures? I was going to ask you. Okay.
Yeah. They're Philadelphia. I love the Philly play tonight. Philadelphia, Minnesota, Arizona. More White Sox than I thought I would get. I don't love that.
No, we knew you'd get that.
Yeah, I knew I was going to end up with some of it.
So I'll tell you where I am at right now, and again, it's a lots of late. That 7, between 7:40 and 8. Well, maybe between 8:10 and 9:30. There's definitely some opportunities to late swap there. Let me just announce what my exposures are for now. I went a lot of min uniques. I didn't like how concentrated I was getting at the top of my exposures. Mm-hmm. So I did a lot of min uniques. So as far as pitching goes, wow, this is not what I expected. It's not Bubik and Ober as my top 2. I actually have Bubik and Sanchez as my top 2, and then Ober after that.
I capped Sanchez. I have no more than 5%.
I don't blame you. I mean, this doesn't look good at all.
I mean, but he's an electric pitcher who could easily make me feel like an idiot. But this Mets team, that in terms of pitches taken and everything, it's a tough road against those of you.
And then the fourth guy have a decent amount, 20%, 21% of the aforementioned Chris Bassett. So
yeah, I like the Bassett a little bit, but I have like 80% Bubich on both sites, and I've got Ober like 70, and then the rest of the percentages is mostly on FanDuel. I'm just running. I've got to refinish my basketball builds, and then I've got to get my big buy-ins. I might actually get out of here just so I can get my big buy-ins.
That's cool.
All right, man. Have a good night. Good luck, everybody.
Okay, later.